Welcome to Warp into War, our deep dive into the articles covering the Warhammer 40,000 universe and, well, the miniature painting hobby in general.
Yeah, there is a lot to unpack today.
There really is.
Yeah.
But I want to start with a weird linguistic mystery from the articles. Why does a paint system sold in America spell color with a British U?
Oh, right. So that actually goes all the way back to Noah Webster in the 1800s. He basically wanted to Americanize English, make it purely logical by dropping the U from words like color.
Right, right.
But Games Workshop is based in the UK, so they just kept that old French couleur influence for their Citadel paints.
It's funny because that whole tension between being logical and being traditional, it really mirrors the Citadel color system itself. It's built to be this incredibly logical, step-by-step process.
Exactly. The articles really break down how they engineered specific chemical roles for every step. Like, before you even use a brush, you need a spray primer.
Which gives the paint something to stick to, right? And you're supposed to thin your paints with water on a palette first.
Yeah, always thin your paints. Then you move to base paints. These are packed with heavy, opaque pigment. You just use them to block in your foundation colors, like green for skin or brown for leather.
So the primer and base paints are like pouring the concrete foundation of a house. The next step, the shades, would be like putting up the walls.
That's a great way to look at it. Shades are these thin, runny washes. Instead of manually painting every shadow, you just brush a shade over the base, and it naturally flows down into all the little crevices.
Oh, wow. So it just creates realistic shadows automatically.
Pretty much, yeah. It takes minimal effort, but adds instant depth. Then you follow that up with layer paints. They're slightly thinner, and you put them on the raised areas to create highlights.
Right, making the details pop.
Yeah.
And then the articles mention dry paints. Those are super thick, right?
Oh, very thick and dry. You actually dip a special brush in, wipe almost all the paint off onto a piece of paper, and just lightly brush it over the model. It's a really fast way to catch textures like fur or stone.
And then you finish the whole house off with landscaping, which I guess would be the technical paints.
Exactly. Technicals are the special effects at the end. Things like cracked earth for the base or, shiny blood, rust, ghostly glows.
Okay, but building a house takes a long time.
Mm-hmm.
What if you just want to get your army ready fast? Because the articles highlight this massive shortcut called contrast paints.
Yeah, contrast paints are basically a magic trick. They act as a base, shade, and layer all in one single brush stroke.
Wait, really? All three in one stroke?
Yeah, you just prime the model with a light spray like Corax White, Wraithbone, or Grey Seer. Then you apply a generous layer of contrast paint. It's semi-transparent, so it tints the surface while automatically pooling in the recesses for shadows.
There's got to be a catch, though, right?
Well, yeah. The articles warn you have to watch out for pooling. If you use too much, it forms these flat, ugly puddles of paint on smooth surfaces, which totally ruins the illusion of depth.
So it's great for speed, but maybe not what you'd use if you're trying to win the Slayer Sword.
Definitely not.
Which brings us to the AdeptiCon USA Golden Demon Championship. The articles describe this as the world's absolute biggest miniature painting championship.
It is. People send in thousands of entries from all over the globe. And it's wild to think it all started back in 1987 in Nottingham.
Yeah, the articles mentioned Brian Moore's classic multi-headed dragon from back then. And now they have categories for everything. Single Warhammer, 40,000 figures, giant dioramas, vehicles.
They even have the Young Bloods category, which is exclusively for young painters aged 12 to 15. The talent level there is just insane.
And if you win gold in your category, you compete for the ultimate prize, the Slayer's Sword.
Yeah.
And we are talking about a literal, massive physical broadsword here.
An actual sword. David Aroba just won it at the 2026 USA event. It's the absolute pinnacle of the hobby.
It really is. So you go from bare plastic and basic color theory all the way to wielding a broadsword for artistic mastery. But it does leave you with a provocative thought.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with chemical innovations like contrast paints, automating so much of the complex shading, do you think future paint chemistry will eventually make traditional painstaking layering totally obsolete? Or will that old-fashioned human touch always be the secret requirement to lift the Slayer's Sword? Something for you to mull over next time you sit down at the painting desk.
Rakata Domuna Solara